think it was December, that I can't remember, it was November, December time, that I met our speaker today. I got a blind email that said, hey, would you be interested in learning more about the Mayfly project? And so I started reading more on this Mayfly project that you're going to hear about today, and got connected with our speaker, Pam Allen. That led to, what did that lead to, Pam? That led to coffee. And as you know, if you've been around, I do have a passion for fishing and fly fishing, as well as a number of other outdoor adventures, as do a number of our Rotarians. So one of the things I wanted to do was bring Pam in connection with this program to our club. But our conversation went well beyond the fly fishing, because we had way too much in common. So without further ado, and without spilling the beans any further, I'll bring up the Mayfly Project co-lead here in Columbus, Ohio, and she can tell you more of our story. I'll get it. Yep.
Well, while he gets that set up, I want to just say thank you, Scott in particular, and everyone for being here today. I'm really excited to share the story about what we've been doing with the Mayfly Project here in Columbus. Public speaking is not one of my favorite things to do. It's something that I usually find I have to do in order to get our message out. So you won't find me as someone who loves to do this, but I'm happy to be here. So the Mayfly Project, as Scott mentioned, we have two. What's that?
No, I'm talking to the.
Oh, okay. We have two co-leads here in the Columbus area for our project.
We're good.
Okay. A gentleman up in the Delaware area and myself, Andy started it, started the project here in Columbus, and I'll get into a little bit more to tell you what it's about. But he started it. He had a passion for fly fishing. He is a foster parent. They have a foster family himself, and he was trying to figure out a way to blend a couple of his passions with fly fishing and his foster kids, so he started the project. I have a very short video that I think helps. I have a very short video that I think will help just kick it off, so I'm going to start and do that.
With most days, the only constant is change. And the pressure is always rising. The broken promises add up, and life feels out of your control. You can't help but slowly let go of hope, of dreams, of possibilities. Until someone or something proves you wrong, or introduces you to a place that you can call your own. Welcome to our sanctuary, where stress rolls away with the river and hope is increased with every fish we catch. Where a high five can change your spirit and a cast can calm your troubled mind. Together in the river, we will find patience, excitement, opportunity, perseverance, and friendship. It goes beyond the gift of a fly rod. It is the Mayfly Project.
So the Mayfly Project is a national 501c3 program or project that was set up by a gentleman and his wife in Arkansas, Jess and Laura Westbrook. They were fly fishing family. Jess was going through a lot of anxiety and other kinds of mental health challenges in his life, and he found that fly fishing for him was really something that helped calm his mind and something that he could use for therapy. And he thought that it would be a good thing also to do with the foster kids that involved in a foster care program at his church. It just so happened that at the same time, another woman in Idaho was doing the same thing. Her background was a little different. She worked in a residential foster care home, but she also knew the value of fly fishing and was taking these kids out to do fly fishing also for therapy. And so they kind of found themselves through some common people and a common connection and decided to form this national Mayfly Project. We in Ohio started it in Andy applied for it to start here in Ohio in 2020, and we got the project set up, and then COVID hit. And so we didn't do anything until 2021. So in 2021, it was our first year. We had 2 kids. We worked really hard to get those 2 kids. We hope to have a few more to serve in that first year, but that's what we had, and so that's what we went with. And then this year, 2022, we are serving 3 kids. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. But really, this is a nonprofit, as I mentioned, that uses, we mentor foster kids in fly fishing. People have asked, well, why fly fishing? It's a common, it's now prescribed by a lot of mental health care professionals as a therapeutic measure for folks. It's the meditation of that cast, and just it takes a lot of focus and a lot of paying attention to things and learning, and it helps really to calm the mind with that. The other part of it, not the fly fishing per se, but the program as a whole, we really spend more time with these kids on focusing on that positive reinforcement and teaching them skills and getting them to a point where they're feel capable out there on the stream, and that these mentors are focused on them. You know, it's a one-on-one program just for them. And so they feel like they know that they're special and they're getting skills, and they can feel more confident about that. Some of the kids end up fly fishing, okay, it was fun, but at least it also gives them an opportunity to get into the out of doors. I think we all know, even if you don't fly fish or fish, I think we all know the benefit of just getting outdoors and how that can benefit us as human beings. I know that when my grandson was first born, he was a newborn, and the minute I took him outside, he just would look up at the trees and he would calm down immediately. And I think that happens with a lot of people with that benefit. And then just having fun and creating positive memories. Being in foster care is a challenge in and of itself. And so if we can give them any little bit of time to escape, that's one of the benefits that we see with our program. So I put have fun. That's our biggest thing, is to just have fun. If they don't want to fish that day, we let them wander for a little bit. We do have certain things we want to get accomplished during each of our sessions, but that's the primary goal of every single session, is to have fun. We're building self-esteem. There's a conservation initiative I want to talk to you about really quickly. And throughout the whole day, I love it. We're always high-fiving the kids. You know, whether it's they learned a new knot to tie, or they didn't get their they got their line out a little bit. We don't really focus on whether or not they're catching fish. They sometimes do, but we try not to, because if anybody has gone fly fishing, you know that you're not always going to catch a fish. It's really about that process and being out there and experiencing it, because it's a very active sport that's enjoyable. So we don't really focus on the fish. We focus on celebrating anything else that we can find to focus on. As I mentioned, it's a one-on-one mentoring ratio. We have 11 mentors right now, and we have 3 kids. Now, we don't have all of our mentors come to every single session. That happens with everybody's busy in their lives. But it's always a one-on-one. The kids might even get 2-on-1 sometimes. And there's a very special curriculum that the kids get. If you see in the bottom, I guess left, there's a book. I should have brought it. It would have been a great visual for me to share with you. But it's a book that talks all about fly fishing. It teaches them how to tie a couple flies. It teaches them about the characteristics of a fly angler, that they need to, you have to have patience and all the different things that go along with that. And each kid gets to take that curriculum book home, and then they have a drawstring bag that it goes in, and I'll show you that later. I think there's a picture with that in it. So the curriculum is focused on the 5 stages of the Mayfly, and that's called the Mayfly Project, 5 stages of the Mayfly life cycle. So the first session, we always start with the egg phase, and then it's the nymph phase, and then we go to the emerger, and then we go to the dun, and then we go to the big catch phase. So in the egg phase, we start them with the basics. We teach them about a fly rod, what makes the difference between a fly rod and a spinning rod. And then we'll teach them how to assemble a fly rod. We do a little bit of casting, and then we go right on the water. We found that kids, they can't take too much instruction, so we really, show them some of the basics, and then we're out there on the water. And we might do some more teaching then on the water when we're out there. And then each phase we build on what they learned the last time so that our final session is considered the big catch phase. We are at that one trying to focus on having the kids catch a fish, feeling confident in their casting and what they're able to do. This year, I was mentioning to Jackie that this year we were lucky enough to get Briarwood, which is a fly fishing club in Bellefontaine area. I think some of you guys have been there, right? You've had events there or activities, and some of you are members, so you're familiar with it, that we'll get to have our final session there. So we're really, really excited about that opportunity for the kids. The one thing that's unique about our program, it's not just about teaching the kids, but we actually know that with foster kids, they don't always have things to call their own. So at the very last session, we give them everything they need to be equipped to fly fish. So they get a bag, they get all of the tools they need, nippers, forceps, they get an assortment of flies, they get a net, they'll get a fly rod, a reel, the line, everything that they need to be able to fish. And that way, when they leave, they always have that to take with them. So if they get adopted, they can take it with them to their adoptive family. If they stay in foster care, they will always have that. And then we also offer each kid to be able to come back and participate each year. They won't get the gift again of all the equipment, but they'll get something else cool. So they're able to come back and participate. But so that's the big difference I feel is with our program compared to others, is providing them all of that information. Now the curriculum also focuses, we have a button incentive program. So if anybody's been in Scouts, think of that like your badges or your patches or the different types of things. These are actual physical buttons. And so they do certain things to earn those buttons. And then we also have a conservation initiative where we teach them about the environment and the importance and value of conserving our natural resources, and then we teach them to tie flies also. In the conservation initiative, the focus here is to create a cycle of healing and to have them understand that they can have positive prints on the environment. So we teach them about the proper handling of fish. If they want to keep them, we don't promote exclusive catch and release. But if they do want to return the fish back to the environment, we teach them the safe way to do that. We also teach them about the importance of clean rivers, and we every single time we have a session, we're going around and cleaning up any litter that might be there, and we teach them about the importance of that. And then we also teach them the importance about not contaminating or impacting the waters that they're in through aquatic invasive species, and we teach them about gear hygiene and how to clean the gear so that they might not be transferring any of those invasive species from one body of water to the other. And then those are all 3 buttons they can earn with that. For the last year and this year also, we will be taking them with us. I'm a member of Trout Unlimited, the Mad River chapter, and we do water quality monitoring on the Mad River 4 times a year. So this year we've got it coordinated with our June session that we'll fish the Mad River, but before we fish the Mad River, we'll do some monitoring of the Mad River, teach them about the bugs and things that are in the water. And that bottom picture was one of our from last year when we had them out there. The kids loved that, getting in there with their waders on and seeing what's in the water. And then we were able to show them the flies that kind of match or imitate those bugs that are in the water. So the Mayfly project in Columbus, let's face it, we're not a fly fishing mecca. People don't say, ooh, I'm going to Columbus to go fly fishing. But we do have a lot of nice local waters to fish. We have some really nice trout waters within an hour, and that are all public. But we also have a lot of metro parks and other nice waters to fish in. So that's where we primarily try to focus our efforts. Like I said, our last 2 sessions will be, one will be at Mad River and one will be at Briarwood, but we have a lot of local waters, and we try to emphasize that with the kids. It doesn't matter exactly, it just needs to be nice water where fish are. You can fly fish anywhere. You don't have to only fish for trout. We have these kids, they love catching the bluegill and the bass and anything that we can catch. I found in Columbus that we have such a supportive community. It's amazing to me. The minute I mention what we're doing, I get all of my friends who are fly anglers, whether it be through Project Healing Waters Fly Fishing or Trout Unlimited or Ohio Women on the Fly. They're always reaching out and seeing how they can support us. We also have a lot of conservation organizations that have been very supportive, and just the general population has been very supportive. We have a Facebook page, we have Instagram, and on our Facebook page, someone reached out, instant message to me and said, hey, I saw this project and I have a pond in my backyard. It's perfect for fly fishing. There aren't any trees around. Please come and bring the kids to our pond. It just out of the blue. And we had already had our sessions all set up, but we're going there next year. You know, I think that's just phenomenal that people are so generous. We like I mentioned when we started, we were struggling to get more kids. We thought that we could serve 5 in our first year, we got 2. We thought we could serve 5 or 6 this second year, we got 3. It's been a challenge with the adults in these kids' lives to get them connected with us and to make sure that things can happen. And so we did make a recent connection with the CEO at Buckeye Ranch, and she is very supportive, and I'll be working with her, and we're hoping that next year, once we're linked up with a group home, that it might be, we'll have more kids, I think, to do that. We have, like I mentioned, we have a solid group of 11 mentors, but we're always accepting new applications. So anybody out there that wants to do anything, join us. You don't have to be a fly angler. We actually have, one of our mentors is a foster dad, and he does residential foster care, or respite, I guess it is, respite foster care. So he just hangs out and he helps us out and does whatever. He's learning to fly fish himself. So you don't have to be a fly angler to participate as a mentor. My main message is just if I can ask you to help us share our story, that's the main primary purpose. I think that when I talk to Scott, I'm always looking to share that. We're a relatively new organization in Columbus. We are registered with the Secretary of State and the Attorney General's office through their charitable organizations. So, but we do need to just continue to share our story. So word of mouth always works really well to do that. And here, and I can leave this with Scott because it's a lot of information, but here are the links. If you want to find out more about the national program, that's where the bulk of the information is. But then we also, like I mentioned, off the national page, we have a Columbus, Ohio project page. And we also have Facebook and Instagram, and then there's my email. And I will just leave it at that and turn it over, I guess, to questions or?
Will you do questions? Is that
Yeah,
okay?
definitely.
Will you repeat the question back so people on
So,
Zoom can
certainly.
Yes, thank you.
Anybody have any questions? Yes?
What's the definition of a child that meets the parameters to begin the program?
Okay, the question was, what's the definition of a child that meets the parameters to be able to be served by the Mayfly project? So we have included kids who are currently in foster care or who have been in the foster care system. And then the age group that we're focused on, the youngest we take is 8, and they can go all the way up through high school. Our youngest, this year, we have a lot of younger, we have an 8 and 2 10-year-olds. So it's a younger group this year. And last year, we had a 15-year-old and a 10-year-old. So that's the age group that we're looking for. They have to be able to listen, but actually, some of the kids are challenged and have issues, and they aren't always listening, and we work with them on that. So did that answer your question? Okay. Yes?
Right. How do you find and identify the children that would fit this program?
The question was, how do we identify and find the children that will fit the program? We work with a lot of foster care agencies. We work with the Department of Job and Family Services in their program, reaching out to the county contacts. So Franklin County Children's Services, we work in central Ohio. If a foster family is willing to bring the child and participate, what we don't do is we don't transport the kids. So we set up the schedule, and then they will bring the kids to us, and generally the foster family also stays. It's just easier that way. But they don't have to stay, and we have sometimes accommodated if there's younger children, they can kind of hang out and participate, but not they won't get their own gear. The little ones don't. But thank you.
Not a question, but an observation. Rotary had a project some maybe 20 years ago where we took school kids fishing, and we did that for a few years. It was very successful.
That I don't know if they heard the observation that the Rotary did a program with taking school kids fishing about 20 years ago, and I just think it's great with the kids fishing in general.
I may have missed this, you may have said it already, but how often do you get together with the kids?
Okay, that's a great question. I think I did skip over that. There's 5 sessions, so we talked about the stages of the life cycle, and then we do that 5 times over the 1 year. So we started our first one of the pictures was, we started it in March. It was an awful day. It was like March 19th, and there was blowing wind, I think some sleeting rain, and the kids, they were troopers, and it was fun. That was their first session. I thought, oh my, if they don't come back, I won't be surprised. But they came back the next time, so it was fun. So what we've done in our group is done once a month. So we do March, April, May, June, July. So our final session will be at Briarwood, July 23rd. We'll be at Mad River, June 25th. Next week, we're going to be at the Land of Legends Fly Fishing Club in Newark or Heath. I can't remember which one. They have a pond there. The second session, which was just this past weekend, we have one of our mentors has a cabin up in Butler near Mohican. So we were up there. He has 2 ponds on his property, and we used that. And then the first one we just did in a neighborhood pond. So.
Do you have any alumni programs?
It's not a specific alumni program. Oh, question. Do we have any alumni programs? So, no, we don't have any specific alumni program, but they are invited back. If they want to come back And so if they're still, involved and want to fish, then they can come back and join us in the sessions. But we don't have anything specific above that. Yeah.
Is there a cost for the kids to go through the program?
The question is there a cost? No, there's no cost at all. We provide everything for them, everything.
If one of your participants wants to bring a friend who's not in foster care, do you guys support that?
No, the question is if someone wants to bring a friend who is not in foster care, is that allowed? And no, we focus on the foster kids. What, Jackie?
Do you think you would have more participation if there was more of a support network for the foster parents and their kids? Is that the problem? And can your volunteers help? I know you mentioned one, but could we help in that way?
So the question was, have you identified any of the problems with getting more foster kids there, and is there anything that can be done to support that? To be honest with you, because we're so new, it's kind of hard to say whether we have any real good data about what we might be able to do. But that's a very good question, and I think it's something that we'll do and circle back with our mentors at the end of this year to see if there's anything we can talk with the parents or social workers about on what we can do maybe to support that. Yes?
I've got to ask you another question, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Fly equipment is not inexpensive.
That's
in
correct.
itself. How are you guys funded? How do you provide for these rods and reels, et cetera, that you get?
So the question is, where do we get our funding? Because fly fishing, everybody knows, is an expensive sport. Our first year, we got funding totally through the national nonprofit. They have worked really hard on getting some great gear discounts from some of the national gear providers. And so they do lots of different fundraising. They do a fly fishing tournament, they sell flies, they have raffles, they do all kinds of different things at the national level. And so they guarantee that any new project for that initial year doesn't have to spend any money. And then they encourage us as a whole from that point on to do fundraising. So that's what we did. This year we had a really nice fundraiser with a raffle up at a brewery in Powell, Nocterra Brewery. They were phenomenal. They helped give us a portion of the sales of one of their beers for the month of February. And then we also did a raffle. So.
How could we, is there any particular way we can help? We have, as Hugo mentioned, we in the past with our adopt a school used to take students for one morning fishing. I don't know if Columbus City School allows that anymore, but and they're not necessarily foster children.
I think that's a really important thing for you guys to maybe talk as an organization on how you might be able to help. To be a mentor, we have as you would understand, to have any contact and exposure with the foster kids, we go through a pretty thorough background check. And so anyone who is an actual mentor has to do that. But I don't know if there's any other opportunities or what to be able to do that. Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you so much. That's a very cool project. And I think there's definitely some people like myself who are mulling around some things that we can do to maybe hopefully support you guys. So, see you guys next week. Bye.